Hello and welcome back to the Fixing Football podcast. And Crystal Palace are the champions of the FA Cup. And what does this mean? First of all, what does it mean for teams like Crystal Palace going for these trophies in the future? Now that we've seen them and Newcastle, sort of teams out of the regular top six who are now winning trophies. And what does this mean for Man City and Pep Guardiola's rebuild that is already starting to fail? We'll see. Here with me is Liam O'Meara and returning guest Luke Foley. Boys, how are we?
Very well, Martin. Thank you. Yeah, really, really good. How are you doing?
Fine. Luke?
Yeah, all good from my part. It's good to see you both.
Yeah. So, let's start. FA Cup. First of all, are we happy that Crystal Palace won? I think everyone was behind Crystal Palace this weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant final. I thought they'd win going into the game, to be honest. I think they're made to beat City with the way that they play. But obviously there's a difference between the theories and actually going and doing the job. So, yeah, it was great to see. What do you think, Luke?
Yeah, I was going to echo what you just said. It just felt like all week it was kind of teeing up for a Palace win. It was, I think, the confidence from their side. It's just a great result.
Do you think the Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup amplified the want for Crystal Palace to win it from sort of people outside of them two teams anyway? Or is it just sort of the underdog story that would naturally come around anyway?
It's football one, really. I don't think anyone wants City to win any trophy going forward, especially with all the kind of alleged quotation marks of the breaches.
We're nearly there. We can stop saying allegedly soon.
Yeah, I just think it's just a great result. So, yeah, no one wants City to win anything.
Liam, talk to me about the performance. Is it everything you expected?
Yeah, absolutely. The Crystal Palace's strengths are they're a very predictable side, but it's quite hard to stop because everyone is very good at what they do. So you've got very good defenders like Gay.
They have a good spine. We said this the other week, didn't we? Yeah. They have a good spine.
Exactly. And you've got Wharton that really connects everything quickly, able to play the ball, really progressive passing very quickly, which is perfect when you've got someone like Mateta that can hold the ball up. And the goal was almost like, if you were to say, what are all the strengths of Palace in one move? That Eze goal was pretty much it. A brilliant goal. And yeah, the performance was absolutely there. I think a lot of teams now look at Man City and yeah, they can have the ball because they don't have the players anymore that can hurt you like they have done in previous versions. In previous versions of Man City, you absorbing the pressure was problematic because they had quality that could essentially play through low blocks. And not much has changed. All that's really happened is that the Man City aren't as strong anymore. So those players that are able to create and get the ball to Haaland in dangerous areas, it's not the same. The only player that can do it is Kevin De Bruyne. And you can't rely on him for every single game. And even then, that's a fading force, isn't it? You know, that's a player that
he's only got one more game left.
Yeah, exactly. So I if I was a City fan, I'd be really concerned. I know they're going to go out and spend, but to get to the levels they need to do, yeah, I don't think it's a shock result. It's not a shock result at all.
We'll circle back round to City because I do want to touch on that, but I do want to give Crystal Palace their flowers here because I think they definitely wanted it more for a start. The performance was everything I expected. I didn't expect them to run out 2-3, 4-0 winners. It's going to be 1-0 to them, or it's going to be something where City come back and make it 4-1 or something like that. But did you see Glasner's comments the last time they played City? I think it was only a few weeks ago. And they were 2-0 up and had a third disallowed. I think it was Eze was slightly offside, and they had a third disallowed, and then De Bruyne scored a free kick right before half time, and City ended up winning 5-2.
Made a lot of changes, didn't he, at half time or something?
Glasner did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And after the match, he basically said almost directly to Pep, but in his post-match interview, like, I know how I'm going to play against you now. Like, whatever you did to us in that second half, you'll never be able to do to me again. And that's quite ballsy, I think, for a Crystal Palace manager, no matter who you are, what your record is, or anyone to come out to say that to the most successful manager we've ever seen in the Premier League. Like, I just thought it was interesting.
Did you hear the comments after the game, Martin? What he said, where he kind of essentially said, we'll let City cross the ball into us because we can manage it all game. We're happy for them to hold possession.
Well, I didn't see it. So this was after the final.
Yeah.
No,
he basically said that.
I think that's right, though. That for every quality that Erling Haaland has, they don't cross it into him a lot. They still play very through the middle and attack virtually like the corners of the box more often than not. But I wanted to give Glasner his credit as well, because I think he's set up that team really, really well. And now they're going to have European football to go with, and it'd be interesting what Palace do from here on out with the summer. What would you think is going to happen to Palace moving forward now, Liam?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't think it's as clear cut as people seem to think. Because I think people look at the squad and go, well, he's going to go, he's going to go, he's going to go. I'm not convinced that happens this summer now. I think there's a real case. And that's not to say these players won't go, because I think they will go eventually. But I think there's a real case from Palace's perspective to say to them, sign extensions with release clauses for the year after. Let's give this a go. Let us bring in players now to replace you now, to bleed them in for a year. And in the meantime, you get a crack at Europe with Crystal Palace. That'll be amazing.
Especially that spine is young enough to do that too as well.
The problematic one for that is Mateta, because his contract is up next season, at the end of next season, and he's 28, I think, isn't it? So
right, okay,
that's a bit of a hard sell to him, because he may have aspirations of a big move. I've got a feeling he'll end up in Saudi, Mateta, to be honest, but that's the problematic one. But I think people like Eze and Sam Wharton, I didn't expect Wharton to go anywhere this summer, to be honest, but and even Gay, I think there's a good case for them to say, give this one more year. But we'll see, because they can bring in players to augment that, to give it a go. And with the way Europe is now, we talked about in the last episode, with Champions League teams not dropping down. If you look at Man United and Spurs getting to the final this year, I'd say Palace are a better team than them two. So there's a good crack that you might actually, fall on something good if you give it a good crack in the Europa League. So, so they should really push for that.
I agree. I don't want to miss out anything from Crystal Palace, because they do need to take all the credit here. This isn't just what has happened to City. Everything is bad of Man City, so it doesn't matter who's gone them over. It's still an amazing achievement by Crystal Palace. But
also, before you move on, what I will say is everyone's talking up Glasner today, but that wasn't the case back in October. He was on the precipice of
they had a
point.
really tough start. I mean, they were taking bets between him and Ten Hag, who was going to be the first one to go.
Which dummy said that you'd be sacked first? I don't know.
Some fool. A fool. We'll have to go back and check our predictions episode about that.
So it just shows how things can change, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not like there wasn't a player coming back. I think Wharton came back from injury a little bit later in the season, but they were just adjusting to life after Elise, and it just took a bit of time.
Big time. It showed you how much they relied on him as well as an outlet, but they made it work. I think Munoz, is it Daniel Munoz?
Yeah, he's become more advanced, hasn't he? And
yeah.
He's made that side his own, really, from a fullback position.
They've got a really good team. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for football. A team like Crystal Palace has gone and won something. It must mean a lot to their fans, and I think it's a good thing for everyone. Other than Man City,
it's the romantic element of the game. It's right up there.
Luke, Manchester City. What does this loss mean for them? Because, they're probably going to finish third, and potentially could have won an FA Cup. Despite them having lost 9 or 10 games this season, that still, in the grand scheme of things, isn't a bad year. I mean, it has taken a horrible fall off throughout the course of the season. We can't forget that. But when people just look back at the table and they got to an FA Cup final and finished third, they took a year off from winning Premier Leagues. So I'm saying that could have been the case. Now, the fall off, I think, has been a lot more tragic than that and a lot more well documented. So what does this loss mean for Man City and Pep Guardiola and the rebuild that he now has got going forward?
Well, if Liam touched on it before, the players that he's brought in are just not good enough. It seems like he's going to have to buy quite a lot of critical players to come in. He's losing a lot of Asian players. It seems like it's going to be a lot of work for Pep to get him going again. I think teams kind of know their style and know how to play against it. But does it? Well, like I said to the beginning of the season, is it because of this allegedly kind of rule breaking that they've just been a dark cloud over the club? Is that kind of the reason why they're so poor? But
let me jump in. I think it's more simple than that, Luke. I think the first part of your answer was closer to what I think is going on. I think that's not helped, but I don't think it's the reason. The uncertainty. I think that's played a part, but I think the recruitment's been poor for quite a while. And I think I didn't really realize it until you were started talking. Then I started to think about it. I thought, when was the last good signing they made?
Well, in January, Liam, if you remember, they spent 60 million on Mamouche.
I mean, he's done okay. He's done well.
Mamouche's been fine now. Yeah, fine. Nico Gonzalez came in. Have we seen him yet? I don't remember. I don't watch. I'm not going to say I watch every minute of every Man City game, but have we seen him? Is he injured? Like, where is this kid?
This is it.
And the Kuzmanov, the lad that they bought the back for about 40 million or something. He's apparently being ridiculed by Man City fans every time he comes on. Plus, they're jumping on the backs of people like Akanji and Ake, who they've been massively supporting.
Yeah, you start looking at these players. Akanji, that I wouldn't say that's been a success. Who else have we got?
Well, the thing is,
Kovacic has been okay, but that was only 10 million.
The thing is a lot of these players have a treble under their CV. So you can't say that some of them haven't been a success.
I would say for a lot of them, they were riding on the coattails. They were rotation options in that squad. They weren't. They were the rotations options in what was an aging squad, where Bernardo Silva's and Gundogan's, and they were the starters. It weren't these lads. And you start looking at other ones, you're like, Doku, not up to it. He is not the player in terms. Like, I look at Semenyo at Bournemouth, and I would argue that Semenyo is a better Premier League player than Doku, in my view. So there's so many of these options. If you look at it, they've recruited poorly.
I think Savinho, he was injured for a while, wasn't he, as well? Is it Savios?
I feel like Savinho, I feel like Pep's trying to convince us that he's some kind of difference maker. Like, all I'm seeing, to be honest, is a pretty, not average, but a good player. Like, I'm not seeing someone who I would think would win leagues with Man City.
Yeah.
He almost reminds me of Valencia at United.
So
actually, no, Valencia won leagues with United, so that's not fair. But I think they've recruited poorly for a long time.
This FA Cup final loss, is that symbolic of just this season, or is it more symbolic of the future for Man City? I'll let either of you take a stab at that.
Go on, Luke, you can go first.
Well, if you look at it, they lost the FA Cup last year as well.
Again, yeah, another mid-table side beat him last year. I can't remember. What happened there. But yeah, I think as well, I heard a stat that Pep is the first manager to lose 2 FA Cup finals in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the recruitment. What about getting rid of Alvarez as well? You know, like a backup for Haaland when he's not well. There was quite a lengthy period Haaland was injured, and there was kind of no backup.
True.
You brought Marmouche. Yeah, he's good, but is he getting Haaland numbers?
Again,
Alvarez used to chip in quite a lot.
I agree, and I'm going to play devil's advocate because I agree with you, but the fee for Alvarez was 70-odd million, which I suspect Man City really needed to balance some books.
I agree. I think the money was too much for Alvarez. Although, I think Marmouche, I think Man is better without Haaland, as are Man City. Man City went on a very good run when Haaland was injured.
That's true.
And all of a sudden they look pretty. But I think you were talking earlier about the crossing element, and Glasner saying they can do that all day. And you'd think, well, actually, they've got Haaland, surely that. But we've talked about this before. We've talked about this months ago when it was this question mark about Haaland. I think he struggles to find space. I think he's quite when you watch him, I think he switches off quite a lot. I think he gets bored, and I think he just sort of languins and sort of. He's not somebody who looks alive in the penalty area to me.
Do you know who else said that? Henri said it on one of the CBS broadcasts. Yeah, I was watching one of the post-match things, and he'd said that he never looks like he's making space. If the space is there, he'll go. But you can't say Haaland's not an elite striker. His record is freakish. But
you look at someone like, and it's mad to this comparison, but I think it's a fair one. If you look at someone like Chris Wood, he's always available for the ball.
Yes, because he's so busy. He's very clever. I'll give him that. Stiff as he is,
he's always peeling off. And you could just watch him. And he's constantly doing it all game. And I've seen him live. Like he's been in, when Bolton in the Championship. I've watched Chris Wood live, and it was ridiculous. I think he was playing for Leeds at the time, and I remember it succinctly. Like he was everywhere, and he was never stopped. Every time the ball's on a diagonal, he's straight onto the back post, ready to run in every single time. And I'm not saying I've seen him live recently. It's hard on Sky and stuff, but I'd be shocked if he's any different if he's scoring 20 Premier League goals. Do you know what I mean?
Is that a system problem or is it a Haaland problem?
Both. I'd argue.
The thing that Haaland has that Chris Wood doesn't is Haaland is constantly playing against teams who are defending super deep. Because City have all the ball all the way up the pitch. So Haaland has a lot less room generally than Chris Wood will get to make that space. But you're right, when we're talking about crossing, that's not really an issue. That
you'd think you'd be all right with a 7-foot goth in the box, wouldn't you?
7-foot freak. But yeah, when we're talking about crossing, teams are always there anyway. And Chris Wood will go and do something like that, or a striker like Chris Wood. I get the point that you're making, but I agree. So Man City going forward, there's still something to be decided that we need to wait on to see what the real future of Man City holds. But as for Pep and his planning and the rest of his time at Man City, I mean, what is this more a sign of things more to come, or just a terrible season, scratch it off? Because I think you've made a point in the past, Liam, that people are catching up and sussing them out a little bit.
Yeah, I think we touched on earlier, like this idea of there's a way of playing against them now, there's a template. But I think they just don't have the tools to hurt you like they did, for all the reasons that we talked about. So it's not even as much the sussing out thing, which I really believe in. I think you've always got to evolve your teams, or else you become predictable and teams not to play against you. Particularly in the Premier League, when everything is recorded and analysed like nothing, no other league in the world. So you've got to be constantly evolving. But I don't actually think it's even that complicated. I just think the players aren't as good. So they're struggling to lay a glove on them. And let's look at the players that they're linked with. So who they're linked with, like Morgan Gibbs-White, a very good player, but
he's not coming in of someone at the level.
I've not seen a Champions League medal around his neck, to be honest. And that's the level of Man City. It's not about top four and competing. When they sign players, they should be signing players that come in and help them win the league, because they're not at that level now. And there's nothing in that when I'm watching them, there's nothing that suggests to me that this is a temporary problem. Is
it because they've had players, they've attempted that, and maybe Pep's been stung by Jack Grealish? And I'm trying to think of another example, but that's the main one.
Grealish is a good example. Is it? I mean, that's £100 million player, Jack Grealish.
I'm trying to think of another example where they've gone out and bought someone really at the top of the game for a top whack. I mean, Haaland's worked out, so you can't really say it's that one.
I'd say Ruben Diaz is probably
Ruben Diaz, yeah. John Stones worked out, but that's a long time ago.
And it nearly didn't work out, by the way.
Yeah.
Like
the Grealish one's a big one.
He struggled for a long time, John Stones, let's say.
Yeah. So
and really, he's only had a good couple of good seasons there. Other than that, he's been I think he's almost, because he was there at the big point, it's almost forgotten that a lot of his time at City, he's been rotated, I think, John Stones.
So
but anyway, that's a separate thing.
Let's wrap these two up then. So there's 2 points here. Well done to Crystal Palace. Do we have any fixes for them, Liam? Any suggestions of what Crystal Palace can be doing moving forward?
Definitely getting players on new contracts. And if they have to give them a release clause for the summer after, so be it. Give yourselves a crack at that Europa League.
Did Rice do that? Did West Ham?
A lot of players will do it. A lot of players will do it. Yeah.
I don't know if the Rice one was an actual release clause or more of an agreement to say.
Yeah, a lot of it. It can be gentleman's agreement. But Gyökeres is a better example. What's he available? Is he 50-odd million this summer? 58 million or something?
I think we're looking at 60, but yeah, something like that.
So that's a better example.
Just get it done.
Same with Frimpong. I think Frimpong did the same thing with Leverkusen. I think basically everyone knew Alonso was leaving, and it was, we'll give it 1 year as a crack at the Champions League, and you can go for 35 million. And it's just been snapped up.
United with Ronaldo. Ronaldo again, said he wanted to leave.
More of an agreement to say you can go, like, give us 1 more year. He goes.
I think Bolton did it with Anelka. I think Bolton did something similar with Anelka years back. Yeah. The only time we've ever sold anyone for anything.
So Crystal Palace is keeping players. That's the fix, because I think they've had a great season, and fair play to them. Man City, the fix here is there's more than one.
Well, yeah. If I'm being honest, I think Pep should have gone. Like
that was going to be mine.
I don't know why he's staying. Like, it feels like a natural end to me.
My opinion on that is that he's staying to see them through whatever this period is that's coming up. Whether he gives the V's to the Premier League.
Why does he feel so attached to that, though, if it was nothing to do with it?
I don't know. We've never been in that. It's hard to detach from something that you give a lot of yourself to. I don't know. Luke, any ideas for Man City?
Yeah, I think let's see the return of Rodri. Let's see what happens, what impact he makes next season with the team. And if it's still going pear-shaped, then it's going to have to be a massive rebuild.
That'll make a big recruitment. Yeah. It'll be a fun summer, though. I think there's going to be a lot of movement anywhere. Anyway, let's have a quick break. Well done to Man Crystal Palace. Big laugh out loud. Fuck yous to Man City. No one's asked that you're upset. And please like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, both of your fans can feel free to at us if you've got any issue with that.
See you in a minute. And we're back. And as you can see, Liam has left us. Duty calls, can't be here to fix every problem in the world, but he's left me with Luke Foley, the supreme athlete, British athlete that is Luke Foley. And I ventured into your world this weekend. I did the Manchester 10K Great North Run thing, and I'm in pain.
Feeling sore. A bit sunburnt as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Mother-in-law said I caught the sun, but no, I felt all right. I had my factor on. I'll let you guess the number.
1 million.
Cardio felt good, even though preparation wasn't great. I've had plantar fasciitis all year, which has been shit. So I've been trying to get through that. Spent most of the weekend in the car, driving back and forth to gigs. So the 2 days leading up to it, which I should have been sort of doing active rest and making sure I was right, was difficult to do. But the day was great. I was well impressed with it. Have you done that race before?
No, I'm not. I've not done the Great North Manchester Run. But yeah, yes. How many people? There's thousands of people, weren't there?
Thousands, yeah. I'm somewhere like 7,000 on the list. I wasn't going for time. I was literally going to do it and experience it. And I thought I will be doing it again. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself.
Yep.
And
I was going to say, have you caught the bug, the running bug? I know it's
Not the running bug. I won't be No. Yes and no. I do want to kind of carry on and do better for myself next year, but it still hasn't made me enjoy running anymore. Although I did enjoy doing it, the fact that when you're running and people on the streets and stuff like that, I liked it. I got it. I got the fuss of when you see this about the London Marathon. I'm sure that's even crazier than what this is over here. So, but I had fun. I'm paying for it now. My feet are still cramped. Calves sore.
Yeah.
But cardio held up, which was where I thought I would fail. Because I think if that goes, then I would have had to stop, and I didn't. It's just a pain of my legs. But otherwise, good day. I enjoyed it. What about you? What have you got coming up?
So, yeah, well, I recently did the Manchester Marathon, didn't I? So it was.
Yeah. And what time was that? Let the people know.
2 hours 31. So I was.
What does that?
Say that again.
Sorry, I was going to say, where does that place you? Because that's quite a competitive time, isn't it?
So I was 6th overall in the general entries, and I was probably, if you include the elite athletes, I was probably about 19th overall.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I was a bit gutted, to be honest. I wanted under a sub 2:30, and then just the last 2 miles was just a torture fest, and if the body was giving up, and anyone that's done marathon knows it's just there's nothing you can do about it, and it was just kind of the time was kind of slipping out your hands, and it was like no, but yeah, so I've got unfinished business with the marathon. I'm already looking for like a December winter one to kind of rectify and get under sub 2:30.
That's fair. I feel my highlight. I told you my goals when I was going into it that I didn't want to be overtaken by anyone in daft fancy dress, and I didn't. I wasn't at any point, but coming up in the last kilometre, and then I think I'd seen the 200-metre till the end sign, and the crowd were going crazy, and I was like, I've just hit a good spot here. And as I looked over my shoulder, there's 3 dinosaurs. I was like, fuck that. They're not overtaking me at the finish line. No, they just come out and over. Red, blue, and green dinosaurs come running up. I was like, fuck this.
Just sprint finish.
Yeah, sprint finish. Absolutely pounded it. No way. I don't know why that didn't help the cramp that I was really feeling, but there was no way I was letting them get near me.
Yeah.
There's someone on the mic. There's some dinosaurs coming out there, like fucking Jurassic Park. I'm like, fuck this.
Where was the finish? Where was the finish line?
Right outside the Hilton Hotel at Beetham Tower on Deansgate, if anyone knows Manchester. Start was Charlotte Street, I think it is, just which is just off Peter Street, and so you end up right round, and then you end up going down towards Salford Quays, and then back up onto Deansgate. I enjoyed it. Really nice.
The only problem I had with the Manchester Marathon is they changed the finish line to right outside Manchester University Museum. And
okay.
You couldn't spectators, you couldn't really get to it. You had to go all the way around different buildings to
Yeah.
So the actual finishing straight, there was people there, but I'm guessing nothing compared to the way you.
No, the streets were packed. It was crazy. It was like really cool to see and look up. I was more concerned. I was just concerned about these fuckers behind me. But yeah, so that was it. Didn't let that happen. That was good. I didn't. You know what I did? I didn't want to be on a photo with them either like right behind me or just in front of me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so listen. In the first half, we spoke about the FA Cup final. I know we want to touch on the Europa League final preview here now with you, but one of the big talking points from the FA Cup final that we forgot to get Liam's input on was. Oh, and by the way, Liam also did the 10K. Him and his wife Ashley both been on a big weight loss journey and stuff. If you've been listening to previous episodes from the start of this year, and they both done amazing. Liam actually did a really good time, and Ashley completed it as well. And just very proud of them both. So well done to them as well. But FA Cup final, back to that. Dean Henderson's handball is probably the major talking point there. What did you make of that?
Well, for me personally, I was happy.
I mean, yeah, for everyone who doesn't like City, which is the majority of the country, it's funny.
Yeah.
But let's take them heads off for a minute and just analyse football for a second. It's a red card, isn't it?
It's a bad decision. How they've not caught how VAR have not kind of said that's not a red
well,
card.
VAR have looked at it and said, well, the ball's going away from net anyway. So what does that mean? How much leeway does Dean Henderson have here? Can he just go and keep palming it away from his net? Like, what sort of excuse is that? This is the most blatant red card in a cup final that I can see for such a long time. It's such a big moment, and I get it, how terrible that would have been for Palace at that time. But that's not how you should referee. It's got to be, you can't take that emotion of the game into it, which I feel is what's been done here.
Yeah. I think Haaland, I think it was a really clear goal scoring opportunity. Like, you never know, he could have controlled it and bashed it in the top corner.
How fast is Haaland? Who's referee to say that he's not getting that touch? Because if he taps it, it drops onto his right foot. If he's only got 2 more paces, the guy's a freak. We spoke about this before.
Yeah.
That one. I feel City are right to feel hard done by there.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, going back to being partial, it's quite funny.
Yeah, it is. It is funny. I'm glad it happened, but it's one of them where how can VAR get it wrong? That's what I just don't understand.
It's not even that they got it wrong. It's they decided to impart some emotion onto the referee to say this or that, where that should be the only question the referee should have from a VAR perspective is, has he handled that outside the area? And then it's the referee's decision to take everything else into account. Yeah. But not VAR to agree that it's going away from net and there's a reason why he can handle it outside of his area. That bit should be black or white.
Yeah, I think I was reading up actually on the Athletic, and it kind of gives some stills, and it was talking about the linesman wasn't really in the right position to kind of him to kind of alert. Yeah. Marmoush didn't really make much of a kind of.
No, Haaland he didn't say anything, did he?
No, so I think it may be why didn't they? Because it just was it moving too quick. But if them two and the linesman would have seen it, maybe we would have had a different decision.
Yeah, I think maybe if Haaland is going crazy claiming for that, there's maybe something else. But you can only assume that Haaland, like I say, he's moving at such pace that he doesn't even know, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. City have a right to feel hard done by there, but also I'm still happy that the result ended up the way it did.
I suppose we do need to just give the shout out to Dean Henderson. He was
brilliant game.
The man of the match.
Brilliant game. Well done to him. He did he's one who sort of came in and was a bit. He's sort of a bit cocksure of himself, isn't he? The way he came into Palace, and although I think he's a talented goalkeeper, I think there's better. So it doesn't. He's coming with a swagger, and I think Palace is a great leveler for people with an ego, where everyone sort of has to muck in, and you can bring players in from bigger clubs, and it doesn't work out most of the time. So I think that they have that culture right there, and I think it does suit him. And he's right. He needs to knuckle down there and be a hero there and make yourself right. And maybe if his goal is to get back to Manchester United's number one, which is probably out of the question now, but a big club's number one, should I say, then that's the place where he's got to do it, and he's got to keep putting in performances like that. But well deserved for him. He played out of his skin. Great penalty save. Even 3 or 4 saves in the first half. So, yeah, well-deserved man of the match. So we mentioned Manchester United then. The reason you're here is this week's Europa League Final. I do have a main question, but a slight one is: do you think it's weird that this final is before the Conference League final? I feel like they should go up in level towards the Champions League final.
Yeah, and it's on a Wednesday night as well. When usually it's all the games have been Thursday all the way through. It's kind of just the whole Champions League. They've already said, "Oh, well, someone's in the Champions League. We'll have it on Champions League night."
I think it's weird. Is this? I want you to take it a little bit tongue in cheek, but taking the teams into consideration, is it the worst European Cup final we've seen?
It could be.
And I'm not talking about a preview of the actual match itself here, because I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be played at Premier League pace for a start, and both teams are going to really, really want it. There's a lot riding on it for both teams. But in terms of the current performance, have we ever seen teams at 16th and 17th in the respective leagues competing in a European final?
No.
It's madness to think about that.
Yeah, I suppose even the conference one, you've had West Ham. I'm sure they were doing poor, but they got
West
to the
Ham
final.
finished 15th or 13th, maybe. I'm not sure how the actual season finished up for them, but they were between 13th and 15th when they won the Conference League.
But for a Europa League, yeah, I can't think of any other final where both teams are essentially just above the relegation zone.
Ridiculous. I mean, Spurs have lost 21 games this season.
Well, you know what? I saw some ridiculous stats. You know, there's that Derby one going round where Paul Hughes got more points than Amarin in that Derby season. But I think the one that was really kind of eye-opening for me was United have only got 9 points in 5 months.
That's crazy, isn't it?
How is that even?
Like that in itself, in any other time period, is sackable.
Yeah.
Take it. I dread to think even Fergie would have been really, really under pressure if he'd have gone 5 months with 9 points.
Yeah.
He'd have been, the pressure would have been on crazy time. I do want to get onto that point in a minute. But first of all, let's talk about the final itself coming up. Give us your thoughts, Man United's perspective coming into this final, where you're at, what it means or what it could mean for the season, and where it means everything going forward.
Well, it's everything for the season point of view. It's literally like the biggest game we've had in years, essentially. I think all the kind of rumblings of financial mishaps we've had, and that what we're getting rid of all the staff. I think Champions League is kind of our saviour, and I don't know if there's elements of maybe the board have kind of hit at home with Amarin, saying, "Look, we're not bored of the Premier League. Just make sure you get to the Champions League, and this is the only way." And maybe there's elements of that, but yeah, it's such a big and for both sides as well. Like the whole Spurs, it's massive for them. First kind of European trophy. And just kind of saying he always wins in the second season. But just jumping back to it from a United point of view, we should win. We've got the experience there. I'm not going in not confident. I think United, just from the experience and how we've kind of pulled out of the bag in previous years, like FA Cup and things like that recently, I think we should be confident and we should be the ones in the Champions League. But Spurs have literally, they have kind of not even tried in the league. And I think they've always been focusing on this. But from a United point of view, I think that we have been trying in the league. We've just been not good enough.
I also think so. Yeah, spoiler alert for the end of the episode. But I also think Man United are going to win. But, and that's taking any personal pride out of it, I don't know how I can. I'm trying to think of a good way that both teams lose, but I can't. There's got to be a winner, unfortunately. How can we put this? I think this game is bigger for Manchester United than it is for Spurs. I think from everything that we're hearing outside of Spurs, Ange's gone anyway, regardless. And in one scenario, he leaves them with a European a trophy of any sort, let alone a European one. And I think financially, Spurs are, even though this will damage them. I did hear someone talking on TalkSport. I forgot his name. Stefan Borson, the financial expert who they have on there. He was speaking that despite how profitable and how well run Spurs are, they will not have budgeted for being this low in the Premier League, and for missing out on European football altogether is going to create something of a £200 million hole in there. You'll have a predicted bank estimates for your, year on year and stuff like that results, and they won't have budgeted for a scenario where they are only getting, say, they'll get £50 million less from where they are in the Premier League in terms of their standing final figure, because you get a figure that goes up in increments. They'll have budgeted for, at the minimal, Europa League's place. That's nowhere near happening. And then they have all these other things on the go that they have to account for. They have to hit certain figures that they already owe to people for transfers, because everyone pays in installments these days. So they're going to be in the shit a little bit, and they will probably need to sell to improve anyway. Champions League will help massively with that. For Manchester United, we've already had Jim Radcliffe going on about how they were about to be cash poor by the Christmas if they hadn't have made the certain cuts that they needed to. We were talking about chucking Casemiro and Mason Mount out the club for a while, and maybe that'll save a few of the dinner ladies and whatever else that might have done. But I just think for the whole project of what Jim Ratcliffe wants to do, and all the plans that are surrounding Old Trafford and the rebuild of this club under Ruben Amorim, this final is so much more for Manchester United than it is for Tottenham. I think despite the whole little cost, Spurs, they'll be fine. Man United, a year out of European football with the debts rising and people not having the liquidity to bail them out, they'll be in trouble. And I think that message will be pushed onto the players. Whether that's added pressure or what, I don't know. I do think that the fans know this, though, and the fans will get behind it. I'm confident. I'm pretty confident Man United are going to win. That's the way I see the match going. I think Spurs have beat you 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Of all the teams that they've beat, 3 of them have been you.
Yeah. But is that the point where I'm just kind of, he said, I'm not bothered about the Premier League, and
pretty much. I think so.
That's the point I was making before is I think United are still trying to win Premier League and just can't, just that poor.
Well, the match this weekend against Chelsea, which was Friday night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar. What was the squad like on the day? Was it as full strength?
Yeah, full. Apart from probably Garnacho, it was a full strength squad.
I sort of understand it in terms of you want to keep players match fit, but we're at the end of the season now. They're about as match fit as they're going to get. An extra couple of days off is probably more beneficial than keeping them on the toes a little bit. They're not going to get rusty with a couple of days extra rest. So that's a bizarre one for me. The Spurs did rotate a lot in their match.
Yeah.
But Spurs do have a lot more injuries than Man United. I was going to ask about what you think Man United's prep's like going into this match, because I think both teams went and lost. Again, Spurs lost 2-0 and Manchester United did. Lost 1-0, sorry.
1-0, yeah.
So let's talk about the prep coming into it then. Well, any injuries to worry about?
No, I not from the top of my head. I think we have kind of a full strength squad to go into it.
Yeah.
I think it's I'm not too sure from the Spurs point of view.
Spurs have got a few out.
Kulusevski's out.
Yeah, Maddison looks like he's going to be out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the defence. I think they've got Van der Ven wrapped in cotton wool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the strikers. I'm not sure about Brennan Johnson. I think there's a lot of touch and goal ones there, and a few might surprise you. And it's funny how people can get fit for a cup final all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that you might like here. Knowing you, does Manchester United winning the Europa League mean they have had a better season than Arsenal?
Ooh. Yes. Definitely. Honestly, the Arsenal, you've had a disaster this season.
I know. Finished second in semi-final of the Champions League, and it's disaster.
No, it is. It really, really is, because you've been screaming and shouting that you're the second best team in the league. And City have dropped off, and you've not stepped up. And again, you're going a trophyless season.
Trophyless is annoying. And it's annoying that one of you or Spurs, given the form that you've had all year, is going to win something. But
can I ask you a question, Mike? Sorry, let me ask you a question. I've been thinking about this. Do you not think it's an Arteta problem, this now? Do you think it's took you to a place where you've got the team spirit, you've got kind of a bit of a siege mentality now, like with the rest of the league. The players are there. You can see it from the previous seasons. It's just that kind of someone to kind of grab hold of it now and take him to the next step.
While I don't want to get too bogged down in Arsenal, because this is your moment for a preview, I will. No, I'm going to answer. No, I don't think it's an Arteta issue. And I think it's harsh for people to say that to finish second 3 years in a row, like it's failure. While it is, because that's not your objective, it's also, it depends how you define failure. Trophies or not trophies, then obviously someone's failed. But it isn't as bad as people are making out. And I don't think, until we start missing out on Europe, I don't think we're in danger. The only danger that Arteta's under is if the fans get tired of it. Some fans are, but then fans are idiots. The fans who are calling for Arteta's head are foolish. And the grass isn't always greener. And who you're going to go and get? There's so many questions here. But until Arteta starts hurting the bottom line, I don't think he's in actual danger from above, should I say. Now, the fans might change that. If fans become frustrated by being nearly men, how long that lasts for, I don't know. Because Arsenal are massively have done very well financially this year. And that will be music to the ears of the owners. So I'm not worried about him being under pressure in that sense. Do I expect more from them? It's... I don't like to look at it as too black and white, as we haven't won a trophy, so we've failed and it's been a terrible season. It's been a disappointing season, and there's a lot of mitigating factors to why that's been the case. And I just think for me, it's just become one of them years where it's like, shit, it's not going to happen, is it? And Liverpool have been brilliant for long enough where they've blown everyone out of the water, and that's it. So that's where I'm going to stand with Arteta. Is it it's his team and it's his culture and it's everything that he's built. So is it an Arteta problem? Yeah, it is. The buck stops with him. Whether that means the players he's brought in aren't good enough, his ideas aren't good enough. I think there'll be more time to see and get that answered for you. I'm sorry that wasn't as argumentative and AFTV-like as you might have hoped.
Well, my opinion, Martin, is I think you've fallen into the trap of the latter years of the Wenger, where you just kind of, we've got Champions League again. You maybe go for a little trophy kind of hunt on one of the competitions, but that was the whole point. Like, you was trying to get this Premier League glory. It's still not happening.
Well, the difference with the the Arteta time currently and the Wenger time is that Wenger was Fergie-like and he ran the club top to bottom. So that went on for long enough where the fans got involved and the fans basically made enough noise where the pressure came on Wenger because financially Arsenal were pretty good. And he clearly wasn't hearing any issues from above because it kept getting in the Champions League. And when that stopped and then we started chirping up in the Europa League and then we started missing out and Emery comes in, that's when there's big problems and stuff doesn't happen. It's sort of what Man United have been going through and why you're changing managers and stuff like that. Because you aren't at them high levels and you sort of forget how good you had it for a while because the fans started making too much noise and shit starts going south. So again, there's a few different factors here. Why? I get your point. I get it's fun to say that because someone's won a trophy, they've had a better season. I just don't think it's as... And maybe you have. Maybe if that's what it all boils down to, maybe it is. Maybe it's the year that United won Europa League and Arsenal won nothing. But would I swap places with you right now? No. I wouldn't. Would I swap places for being 16th in the Europa League? No. I'm happy that the journey's still going up, even though we've taken a slight dip on the trajectory.
I'm not sure you believe that, Martin.
I do. I'm not sure you believe that there are Arsenal fans like me out there. You think we're all this sort of Daily Mail headline-grabbing weirdos. I
think, okay, FA Cup, League Cup, yeah, there's an element of they are major trophies, but they're kind of lower end. But a European trophy, which Arsenal have never achieved.
Can I ask you a question then? I asked this to Liam last week. If the Europa League didn't come with Champions League qualification, would you be bothered about this as much?
No,
if this was just a trophy.
No, and that
is the prize winning this second tier European competition, or is it qualification for the Champions League in the future?
No, there's a snobbery with United fans, in a way. All this if we do win, it's all about getting the Champions League.
Absolutely.
Not really bothered. It's a European trophy. It's all about getting into the Champions League.
Absolutely.
Which is again, it's a snobbery kind of, but we are consider ourselves a top club still, and that the top title is the Champions League and then the Premier League as well.
I think people get big club and top club confused. Man United is still a very, very big club, but they aren't a top club.
No, well,
this is what I think that's the fact, but I can see where people get confused is people think because we're a big club, we're a top club, and we're not. So let's get down to the match itself, predictions, everything around it. How are you seeing this match going? Give us some insight from your perspective about where the match goes. We've both already said that we think Man United are going to win. Do you think it's close?
I've got two mindsets.
Go on, give us them.
It's either going to be like a 4-3 last minute kind of goals because United have done that in the past, and it'll get to a point where everyone's attacking each other, or it's just going to be a cagey, nervy 1-0 win. But again, I can't even see. Well, maybe Bruno is the only one I can see scoring. I don't know.
Mason Mount's been good in the last couple of rounds of the Europa League for you, but then again, this is going to be like a Premier League match. I think someone like Casemiro might stand up in this final for you.
Fucking I hope he stands up. He's always on the ground.
What I did hear, and I sort of agreed with it, is if Man United score, I don't see Spurs getting back into it. And even if Spurs score first, there is more likelihood that United come back than the opposite way around, that United raise themselves. Even as poor as both teams have been, it's fun for me to slag them off. But as bad as Man United are, I still think they are significantly better than this Tottenham team. And I still think they have players who will go for it more. I just think this Tottenham team has just become a slouch. Like it's limp. There's no arse to it at all. There's nothing to get behind and support. And I just don't think they have it. Now, if Tottenham go and score 2 and 3 early on and all of a sudden have a 2-3 goal lead, then we've got something really interesting. Because there is a point where Man United's head go down and it becomes a bit rubbish. That could happen very early on for Spurs the other way around. And it could be a rout.
Yeah, and like you're saying before, we've not beaten Spurs in a while. They seem to have got our number. It's like I said to you, I'm confident we're going to win, but all the signs are showing that it's going to be difficult.
So this is going out the day before the final. So hopefully most people listen to it as it goes out, so we can get this out and we need people on. So we need people to like and share and subscribe and do all that fun stuff for us. Give us your final thoughts for Manchester United season and this final.
A very piss poor season from United. Really,
piss poor's good.
Yeah, I think what I'm not understanding, and you see it a lot from the top Reds and the media, is this kind of pass from Ruben Amorim. I like him. I like him. He speaks the truth. We're 16th in the league.
Ange has had this for 18 months. This is where we're at. You've got the Portuguese Ange.
What you on about? It's what you like. I like him. Well, what do you like his system? Because that's not working. Do you like his wild comments he's saying after the matches where he says, "Oh, if I'm not performing, I might not be there at the end of the season." What are you on about? I'm not understanding this kind of media kind of aspect of it.
He's got a lot of grace from the media. Let's say.
Yeah. Because if you look at face value, the worst.
Terrible. The fact that he's been given a free pass, he came in November, and he's been given a free pass of the whole season, basically, with the objective to get you in the Champions League, and by hook or by crook, he might end up just doing it.
Yeah, but from a Premier League kind of performance, there's
everything
nothing that's
performance, like everything. There's just even the losses have been terrible. You haven't been robbed of a load of games and stuff like that. You've been beat in a lot of games.
Like, just jumping back to Palace, when Palace battered us.
Yeah.
They had to batter the back four.
It's like, that would be the worry for me. If you can look at games game by game and think, that was 2-1, we lost in a late goal, or we had someone sent off in this match and we drew, or stuff like that, and loads of stuff isn't going your way, you can count unlucky and you can take the positives from it. But to be beat as well and as much as you have is the worry for me. And I think they've put a lot of pressure on the next season with Amorim because of that. Is this summer needs to be ridiculous in terms of the transfer market and everything that goes with building a team that is going to have to not be embarrassed in the Champions League, because we saw the strength of that this year.
He's not, for me, he's not building me with confidence. Just the messages he's been saying recently. You don't want, and as well, just worst case scenario, we can't get some of these top targets for us, or whoever he thinks. He's still got that team to kind of work with, and the message he's kind of said is, "You're all shitbags. You don't need to leave." So it's just a really weird, odd situation we're in. Where, funny. Actually, I was going to ask you this: is I was very against the whole Southgate coming in, but now I'm thinking about it. Is that what we need at the moment? Where it's someone that's going to build a bit of team spirit, a bit of kind of togetherness,
steady the ship, yeah,
and then build on that. Gareth Southgate's not going to take us to the top levels, But at the moment, maybe that's what it needs, and essentially that's what the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have been. It should have been steady the ship, which it did, but then kind of say, right, we've got a manager coming in later on. But we kind of said, oh no, Ole is a 5-year contract, and then we're going to lose in Europa finals.
It's hard. It's hard when you've got a project underway to go through the shit because people are so short-minded and short-sighted with what they can't get past the now for the greater good, if you will.
Yeah.
But at the moment, the greater good is like the new stadium in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Like that's it. There's nothing. That stadium is going to happen regardless of Man United being in League Two at the moment because the performances are just poor and everything's on a downward trajectory. Anyway, it seems very negative coming into a final, Luke. You're going to be the bookies' favourites. We are, and we're right there in Bilbao. Give me your scoreline prediction. If you had to go out on a limb, your last £10.
I'm going for 3-1. I think what you described, maybe if we get an early goal, like just from the previous European games where we've kind of got there early and we've built on it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
So honestly, 3-1 was going to be my suggestion as well. So I'm going to go. What do I see? I'm going to say 4-1. I actually think United get it done pretty convincingly as well. And I don't see anything for Spurs in this match. Now they might be wrong and come out of the traps and have this weird handball thing going on, but I don't see it. I think they're terrible. I think they're a really terrible side. And as an Arsenal fan, I can't think of any two teams I'd like to see less in a final than these two together. The fact that you're going to win something and we're not this year is really annoying. And I genuinely don't want either of you to win. I just think Man United will win. Don't want them to. And I definitely don't want Spurs to win. Because even though I care about them less and I hate them a little bit less than I hate United, this is just with my Arsenal hat on now. I still don't want them to win anything. I think they're losers.
Yeah, I think Spurs winning European trophy is going to be a disaster for you, man.
When did the Cup Winners' Cup stop becoming a recognised European trophy? Why are you not allowed to count that? I mean, I don't count it. I don't remember it. It's the year we were born. But, like, why are you not allowed to count that?
You can't count it.
Why?
It's like, was it Intertoto Cup? Like,
yeah. But
you can't count not real trophies.
What's it called? Discontinued trophies.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But remember them. Remember that Cup Winners' Cup with my opal fruits?
So would you rather? So you'd rather United win?
I don't know. I wouldn't rather Man United win. I honestly don't want either team to win. It's going to make me sick seeing either player lifting the trophy. Genuinely. It's going to be... I'm going to have to be off WhatsApp a little bit longer if Man United win it. So that's going to be something. I just think Man United will win.
Yeah. I would. If I was you, I wouldn't go on WhatsApp for a while because there'd be just mass Arteta Arsenal.
It's going to be quite poisonous. For some reason, a Europa League final between Man United and Tottenham does wonders for the Arsenal Twitter. Some poisonous people out there. Right, we're going to leave it there. Luke, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Good luck this week in the final for Manchester United. I say that, I don't mean it. Thank you, everybody. You can find all the information at www.fixingfootballpodcast.com. And thanks to Liam. Well done on the Manchester run. Thanks to Luke for joining us. And thanks to me for doing everything again. Peace out.
Well done, Martin. Ta-ra.